I got an email from someone the other day, and it's near the end of November in the year 2024. And it said 12-year-olds tutored so they can do well at the upper seat test. Now, I imagine that they meant the SSAT test, because I don't know what the upper seat test is. But I leave it in because I want to say that I don't assume I'm correct. It could actually be the upper seat test, and I'm wrong. I believe that they're not supposed to take that test. Just off that one sentence alone, I'm using my math intuition to say they're probably taking they should be probably taking the middle level test. And they're probably registered. Now, this is all intuition. It's the end of November. There are SSAT tests to get admitted into high schools for usually private schools. And they are going to be held the first week of December and the first week of January and the first week of February, if I remember my dates. And you should take them all 3 times, because more times you take them, it gets easier, it's less nervous, you get better at it, you get a higher mark usually, and the schools will probably choose your best mark, and it'll help get you the fact that you're studying, you're learning things that you need to know for your whole life. Okay, so you're learning basic English, basic writing skills for your essay. The essay is important. I'm going to do a separate video about how to make your essay good for the SSAT, because it's revealing what a kind of a person you are. It's the only essay they'll ever see that you wrote that they know nobody could have helped you, because you were there at the testing center with a totally random prompt that you weren't ready for. How did you handle it? How did you write without any help at all? No spell checks, no grammar checks, no thesaurus, no dictionary. And it shows your values of what kind of person you are. But that's for another time. 12-year-olds, upper SSAT test? Probably not. Let's tell you why. 12-year-olds at the end of November are probably in the 7th grade, because you turn the age of 12 in the 7th grade, unless your birthday is at the last part of November or the whole of December. That's a 10% chance that you are actually turning 13, because you're in the 8th grade. If you're in the 8th grade, you should take the upper level test. You're trying to get into the 9th grade. Maybe you're preparing for next year, for the year later, I should say. For the 10th grade. But you're probably not, because almost everyone who comes to me wants the middle level. They ask me for the upper level. They say it's grade 8 to 10. My kid's going into grade 8. It's supposed to be for the grade you're currently in. If you're 12 years old, 90% chance you're in the 7th grade. If I'm wrong, I apologize. If there's some other reason you're taking the upper SSAT, again, I apologize. The main thing is, I have a feeling, an intuition, that you're probably taking the wrong test, because I've seen people do it before. There's a very short time left until the test if you're doing it now. Maybe you're registered for the wrong test. Maybe you have to hurry right now in this week. I'm talking the next few days to register again for the middle level. Maybe you didn't think about registering for the January and the February test as well, but you should. You should have been studying this for at least a year, but there are ways to get good at it quickly, especially for the math, which you can get perfect in, and for the the essay, which there is no score, but it matters. It matters so much. Now, when it comes to the English, the reading questions can be learned to some extent. The analogies, the idea of how the analogies work, can be learned a lot. But the vocabulary, there's too many vocabulary words. So that part's hard. That part, you should have been reading all this time. But you can learn that as well. It's just that's the longer term, because who knows which of the thousands of words they will choose. Okay, there's probably at least 1,000 juicy words that they would want to use. And we got to make it fun. We got to learn in a fun way. I did really well on these kinds of tests. I got into admission in a non-intake year. So if they were going for 9th grade in the upper level, that's a non-intake year usually. But at least in the schools that I think they're trying to go to. But even in a non-intake year, you can get in. I did it myself. I've done it for others. I've helped others do really well in the SSAT since 1996. I've been teaching people. Like the first kid I taught in 96 was to get into a school in Canada called St. George's School. Not the one you're thinking of. It's actually the one in British Columbia. There's another St. George's School in Montreal. And he got in. And then his sister went to Crofton House, which is another school. And then later, which is kind of cool, in the year 2023, I taught his either nephew or cousin who also went to St. George's. So it was kind of cool that it was the first kid I taught when I started in 96, and then I taught his family, his relative, later in 23. So that was kind of fun. It's nice to have the continuation, you know? And then after they finished, they referred someone else to me, and like the continuation goes, and it usually works on word of mouth, and it's kind of fun. And I kept in contact a little bit with that student from 1996. He's an old man now, although I'm older. So anyways, to the person who wrote this email, don't worry, your name's anonymous. I didn't include any identifying info other than that you probably registered your 12-year-olds to an upper level test, and maybe it was a mistake, and maybe there's some other things you need to be thinking about besides, just get, the lowest priced tutor or the one with the most experience. I'm not the lowest priced tutor. I'm one of the high priced ones. I am one of the more experienced ones, because I've been doing it as my only job since 1996. I love what I do. And yeah, you might want someone who's really smart and has the big degrees. I've got the big degrees, but I don't think that's important. I think what's important is, can you teach it well? And part of teaching it well is reading the mind of the person and figuring out from clues they either say or don't say. And that's what I'm doing here. Without them having said anything, I think they're registered for the wrong test, and they need to hurry and register for the correct test. You only have a few days, and you might not even be able to. But you can still register maybe for the January and February test. And you could still take the upper test if you were stuck in it. And maybe the school could adjust, for the marks. Because it can be done. It can be adjusted. It's just not easy. So, learning the math, yes, you can get perfect. You can learn it quickly. The essay, you can make your essay so much better in a short time. The vocabulary, you can get some vocabulary, but that's more of a long-term thing or a lot of time put in. So I wish you luck. And remember, learning isn't about getting accepted or getting the high marks. That's the way I treated it for most of my life. But now I've realized it's the process of the learning itself. You try to get the high mark. You try to get accepted into the great schools. But whether you do or don't get accepted, the results don't actually matter. What matters is the process, the journey, and being resilient, that when things don't go your way, that it doesn't bother you, that you see the worthwhile, the worth of it, just for the learning itself. Okay, and that's like a lesson I needed to learn. I'm a smart guy who didn't know that, and now I know it, and hopefully you'll start to realize it too. Since this will be a YouTube video, could you please like and subscribe, because no one's ever liked or subscribed me, and it makes me feel so sad. No, it doesn't. I tricked you. It's because I'm into the process. I don't need the results. So whether you do or don't, you could even leave me bad comments. It'll be funny for me. But yes, realize that if you're going into grade 8, because you're in the 7th grade now, you take the middle level test. Give yourself a year to prepare. And if you don't, get someone really good who knows how to teach this test and who tries to make it fun, and work your brain off to study. And don't give up when the test is over, because life is about learning. It's not about getting these achievements. I've gotten so many academic achievements, and in a way they mean nothing. That's the weird thing. I tried so hard to get them. I got lots of them, and they don't seem to matter very much. What matters more was the challenge and the rising up to the challenge. That's what matters. too long already. That's all I have to say. Bye.